Does height matter?
Of course.
So what's a good height for you?
Well, I'm tall, so I need at least 6'1".
So like abs don't matter? I have abs.
I mean, it's nice, but
So like I can get your number with my abs?
no,
Why?
you need a few more inches.
Ooh, ouch, that must hurt. You know, this is a very common stereotype, especially in North America, that unless you are 6 foot tall, 183 centimeters, the ladies are not going to be interested in you, especially the hotter ones. But is that true here in Eastern Europe? Do you really have to be 6 foot tall to stand a chance to date the super hotties, the 9s and 10s of this region?
SAR Experience.
So first of all, how tall are people in general here in Eastern Europe? Well, I'm in Chisinau, Moldova, which is the capital of the country. And Moldovans are actually on the shorter side on average for Eastern Europe. Average height for men is 173 centimeters. And for women, it is 162 centimeters. So that would be similar to the heights in Kazakhstan, Georgia, and a bit shorter than other parts of Eastern Europe, like Ukraine, Russia, and Belarus, for example. It's more or less around 176 centimeters for men and 164 centimeters for women. And then when you go to other countries like up in the Baltics, where I was recently, people are definitely a good bit taller. The average height in, say, Latvia and Lithuania is 181 centimeters for men and 168 roughly for women. So there you see what the average height is, so you can, compare yourself on what you're going to be compared to the average. Now also remember that in these countries, younger people tend to be a bit taller than the average. So probably if you are, say, comparing yourself to maybe men who are between, we'll say 20 and 50, it's probably add a centimeter or two to understand whereabouts you are relative. And I am personally 178 centimeters, so that is 5'10", and that would put me a couple of centimeters below the average nowadays in the Baltics, and pretty much a tiny bit above the average in the rest of Eastern Europe. But how does that all play out in reality here? So when I did a little bit of research online, I found one study that looked at speed dating, and apparently women were looking for men optimally around 25 centimeters taller, but that the men were conversely only really interested in dating women up to 7 centimeters shorter than them, right? So you obviously have a big discrepancy in terms of what's maybe both genders looking for and what they can actually realistically find. Now let me explain my perspective here in Eastern Europe. I've been hanging out in this region for not far off, well, it's over 10 years, maybe even 15. And in my experience, obviously for biological reasons, being taller is an advantage in general for men, right? Women have a preference, definitely, for guys who are a bit taller than them. But you don't want to be abnormally tall. I do have a friend who is 2 meters 10 centimeters, that is 6'10", and actually my interpretation was that it was a bit of a disadvantage. A lot of girls wanted photos with him, but in terms of actually dating him, being abnormally tall was a bit of a minus, I felt. So I would say being a bit taller than the average, maybe up to like 185 to 190 seems to be a very good height. But being much taller than that, or being super short, obviously not going to be an advantage for you, it's going to be a disadvantage. Now, since the 9s and 10s, the kind of models, they tend to be a bit taller than the average for girls, probably going to be somewhere between 170 to 180. What I think is that it only becomes really any sort of issue if you are shorter than the girl. So if you're aiming to date kind of the model types who are 174, 175 plus a lot of the time, then if you are a guy under 175, now we got the bells here. Bells are ringing out. If you are under 175, then yeah, that might be a little bit that's going to be an issue. So what has my personal experience been being 178, 5'10"? Well, I've been able to date up to 183 centimeters. So that is over 6 foot. That's at the top end of models, obviously. And basically being shorter than the model, then obviously you're going to have to compensate in some other ways. And many of those ways can be in terms of your social status, the way you present yourself, your intercommunicative skills, basically your game, and other parts maybe of your looks. Other things that are going to demonstrate value in short. So there's not much you can do about your height. I mean, it's not like you can grow 5 centimeters just like that, or take a pill and do it. So it's really not worth focusing on. And actually, if you are a guy who is, say, 170 or maybe even shorter, just have a little think about an interesting little piece of trivia that I found, that 2 most important presidents in this region are 170 centimeters. Zelensky and Putin. And it doesn't seem to have stopped them getting attractive ladies. So that should be some inspiration for you, that height isn't everything. And in fact, as long as you're compensating with something like massive socioeconomic status, like being the president of the country, or a wealthy businessman like Zelensky was before he became president, then it's probably not going to be a big disadvantage. So in this experience, in-person experience, I've had guys who were super tall, in fact, close to 2 meters, and also relatively short, under 170. And they came and had an unforgettable weekend partying with the hotties here in Eastern Europe. Now, with the ongoing Russo-Ukrainian war just down the road, I'm shooting this video at the beginning of 2023. I am not currently going with clients to Ukraine, Russia, or Belarus, but I have been here in Chisinau, where I'm waiting on a client at the moment while I shoot this, and also in the Big Apple of Kazakhstan, Almaty, Warsaw in Poland, and Riga in Latvia, where I was recently. An absolutely great place to live the Xara experience in person. Now, the Xara experience is by application only. Down below in the video description is an application form, because I vet everybody who comes in the Xara experience to make sure it's a good fit for you to be here with me. And before you go and fill out an application form, please check out 2 playlists that I put together. The first one, it gives you an overview of the cities that I have been with clients, either currently or before, and there's a few previous client testimonials in that. And also the second playlist has a lot of my advice on how to date the 9s and 10s here in Eastern Europe. So go check out those 2 playlists first. I'll link them up in cards, as always, down below in the video description as well. And it could be you with me having an unforgettable weekend, whether you're tall or short. We are going to go out and we are going to paint the town red here in the city very soon in Eastern Europe together, because in my experience, as I explained in that playlist of videos about dating the 9s and 10s, the best way is through social circle. And you actually get to tap into that a little bit on your weekend with me here, because I'm known by many of my former clients as the insider here in Eastern Europe, but also because we have a short time frame, obviously on an extended weekend, actually going out and socializing at night is the best way to meet the highest number of beautiful women in that short space of time. So we combine both of them on the Xara experience in one weekend. Anyways, down below is the application form, and I will see you in the next video. La Revedere from Chisinau, the capital of Moldova.
Xara experience.